Let's talk about founder skills. So, in order to build a successful startup in terms of actually have it go well, meaning get the customer interest, get the product working in the right way, get the systems and the tasks and the jobs and all the little things necessary to actually make something work well, not just look like it's working well, you really require all the skills. And I say all because the skill that you're thinking of, you're like, do I really? Yes, especially that one, because it was probably HR, legal, finance you were thinking about. And yes, you absolutely need those. The problem is that it's really easy to get by or to try and get by, especially when you're focused very heavily on the product or very heavily on the customer discovery. You always have a good excuse. You can always say, oh, but I have to focus on this because it's so critical, or I have to go talk to this customer because it's so critical. I'll get that skill or I'll focus on that later. But then later comes and you don't have it, and then there's a problem. So I want you to really think about, what do I need to win, and can I get all of it, in as few people that I can rely on as possible. Now, this is a combination of technical and soft skills. Some startups are really not technical startups. And what I mean by that is the idea of what they're trying to build already exists in a believable way. Meaning, if you're building another version of Airbnb that services some other market demographic with some other similar offering, I don't have to be like a future seer to understand, oh, this could work, or this has worked, or this business model technologically exists. It's one of those, it's obvious, or at least it should be obvious to someone operating in the startup world. But the other side is the soft skills. Soft skills could be how you acquire customers, could be how you think about strategy, could be how you manage your team, could be the decisions that you make on the day to day. There's so much that goes into it beyond just, do I believe that the technical can get done? Because very often the technical isn't even the biggest question. It's like they say, you can have the greatest mousetrap that never gets sold. Making the greatest mousetrap is the first 10-20% of the business. Then comes the sales, then comes the marketing, then comes the servicing, then comes the customer support, then comes the updates, then comes the investors, and everything else that happens after you get the product. And it doesn't mean you shouldn't care about the product, but it means you should have a full appreciation of everything that goes into delivering your product, your solution, to the customer in a successful way that generates revenue in the long term. This is a different game that we're playing with much higher stakes, so we have to take it a little bit more seriously. Last but not least, teams require both. They need this leadership side of like, who's deciding what job goes with which person, what jobs need to get done. But they also need the skill set, whether it's technical or soft, meaning if you don't know how to communicate, that is a hard skill that you absolutely need to work on in some way, because your ability to communicate with your team, if you can't communicate something critical and then it affects the technical, congrats. Like, yeah, it may have been a soft skill, but it's a soft skill that cost us a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of resources, whatever it might be. And my biggest piece of advice is, you don't want to try and look for all of these skills in one person, be it yourself or someone else. Everyone has things they're good at, things they're bad at, and things that they can kind of get by on. And as an early stage founder, you're going to be trying to build as many skills that your position should have and should have high quality versions of. You're also going to be being made violently aware where you come short and where you don't know, where you're ignorant or where you're nervous. And those are places where you can start to solve problems and start to build team that can be the counterbalance to you, where you have skill sets A, B, and C. They have skill sets 1, 2, and 3. And now the next phase can continue. So as you look at the founder skills that we talk about, really try and think about, which do I have, which do I resonate with, which am I especially confident in that I should try and use to win, or especially sharpen so that I can crush it, and what are the ones that are going to be the biggest drawbacks that I either need to fix myself, meaning at least get comfortable enough to not have them hinder me, or bring somebody on the team that can really help bring that value and see everything through so that the business can continue to grow in the best way possible.